in the last 3 years, it's won several awards from major industry magazines for what we care about, the electricians. We got EC&M magazine product of the year for our software category. We got that in 14. And back in 13, we got ISHN's Reader's Choice Award for software. And then just most recently, in December 2014, we got the top products from Electrical Product and Solutions magazine. So those are all magazines that are relevant to what we're doing, have recognized the software and its value in the marketplace. The software itself, the ideas and the trial versions of it and so forth were all worked out and designed by the data collectors for data collection specifically, and that's it. So it's not geared towards the engineer. As a matter of fact, some of the terms we use in the dialog boxes are specifically for the electricians so they understand what you're looking for. Okay? The dialog boxes, see it back here, stand up real quick. This is what we refer to as a dialog box. Box pops open. The software is very, very simple. You drag and drop the icon on the screen, the box pops open, you fill in all the required attributes that are needed. Okay? One of these data collection specific boxes that you probably won't care about is right here, these alternate ID. A lot of times, contractors, we work with a group on tech services a lot, they have their own individual serial numbers they put on everything. So no matter what the customer might call it, dyno control panel or whatever it's named, they have a specific reference to it with a 4-digit number usually, so that they can positively identify it. So when this name gets changed, they still know what that device is.
So that's an asset management number.
Exactly. It's not required by the box itself. Where you see these asterisks, that's all information that's required to be filled in for the data collection purposes, as well as a notes field. Once the data collector establishes, like a transformer, 45 kVA transformer, or whatever it might be, there's going to be multiple of these in the facility or other locations they're going to be working in. They can establish it as a favorite, and then that item's already pre-populated with the exception of the name and location and alternate ID number. All that stuff doesn't keep. So you can make, what that means is that the data collector can move a lot quicker. Once they've created a bus minute fuse of RS30, they don't have to create that again. Once it's done, it's done. Notes. The notes can be put in there. If they find a code violation, typically we use this for this reason. Yes, sir.
Where does that one line come from?
I'm sorry, what?
You said you drag and drop.
Oh, the icon?
Where is the...
This is your toolbox.
Yeah.
And if you want to drag and drop a fuse on there, you just drag it, drop it, and then a box will pop open. It's related to.
So you're building your one line.
Right.
You're building it, exactly.
Like Visio.
As Paul mentioned, it's a lot like a Visio platform.
So rather than drawing something, referencing it to another sheet and saying, here's where, and then doing partial one lines or trying to develop one by hand, you're actually dragging and dropping and creating it in an electronic format with the data available.
Yes.
In lieu of manually noting.
Yes. And what it does is it gives you uniform data collection because all the information is stored exactly the same way from project to project to project. And I'll show you what the outputs look like in a minute. It keeps track of your label count as well as your point count. What I mean by label count is it's best practice to, even if you do a MCC, it's got 7 vertical sections, for instance. And you want to put the same sticker with the same information at the top of each vertical section for best practice, or you can access it from both sides, like a transformer, drive transformer. You want to put the same label in there. The data collector can note that, and there'll be a box where they say, create more labels for this particular device. So keep track of your label count as well as your point count. What we refer to as a point is where a label goes, not how many labels go on a device, but where the label, if it needs a label, it's counted as a point. And data collectors use this a lot for costing the job out. They charge X amount of dollars per point, rather than an hourly rate or just a lump sum. Just go by the point counts. Okay. It also gives you the opportunity to take a picture of the item, take a picture of it, we'll go into that. And that comes in very handy. One of the reports you get at the very end of the day is what's called a label installation report. And that's a report that shows up 4 pictures of an item. And it tells you what the location and the name is. So going back into the label installation is much easier on that end of it. So that covers the dialog box.
Can you go back for a second just to mention the point count is on the very bottom. It's always showing for your one line. And it shows you labels in the very corner there.
Eventually, we'll go back, because I just remembered. We also broke it down into workspaces, okay? So they can create a workspace. So say you have a facility that's got more than one utility feed, but it's one project. You can document each utility feed off of just by creating a new workspace. And it's still the same file, so you don't have to create a new file to go along with that particular project. Or if they want to break it down into different, however they break it down. However the data collector wraps its head around it and wants to break it down by, they can do that. A lot of times they'll go to at this level, they'll go to the bus level, and then they'll create a tab for each bus, so they can track it that way.
Is it based on Excel?
It's not based on Excel, but it's the same idea as the Excel. Okay.
And are you typically seeing the users creating the graphic before they go out in the field, or are they really creating it on the fly as they're out in the field?
I'd say the majority of people are creating it on the fly because they don't know. Most of the time you're going into a facility, you don't have a one line, so you don't know what you have. But I do know of cases where guys sat down at a desk first and drafted it all up based on the information they had known, and then go out in the field to populate it and go backwards. So it doesn't really matter how you get there. It's there. The reason why I'm going into this is because I want to show you what it looks like on the website of it. Once you complete the project, you send it up to a web service called FlashTrack SR. Okay, and that allows you to log in and get all your information. SR stands for SendReports.
So what happens is you upload the project, and then behind the scenes in our service, we go and create the one-line PNG and all the Excel spreadsheets and whatever else, and then you go on the web app, basically view everything from there, and you can go download your stuff, your project, and whatever files are there that belong to that. We call it conversion. It goes and creates the bulk data, and then you can go view your report, your Excel spreadsheets and all that stuff.
Right. So the field.
That's what he's trying to show you.
So the field tool is. Can it be a tablet? What
Yeah, so it can be a tablet. I'm going to run it on my tab right here. It has to be a full-blown PC, though. It can't be an Android tablet or anything like that, anything less than a full-blown PC. Most people are using laptops, and my explanation on that is that in electrical contracting house, the laptops get moved down the ladder until they end up in the field, and that's where they're at right now. It's got to be Vista or newer. Can't be anything less than that.
Well, they're running at least that.
At least that, yeah. What's the what are they running mostly, Paul?
Windows 7.
Windows 7. Yeah.
Windows 7.
So as you're doing that, then you're standalone, and then at some point you upload to the cloud, and then that stores the project.
Exactly. And this is what it looks like. I mean, the proportions, because of the projection, it's all the way off, but here's what they look like. When a project is uploaded to the system,
Can you just through USB connect into the computer,
no.
into the network?
Yeah, they gotta have a Wi-Fi connection. They send it up so that it sends all the pictures and everything else. All right, so once the project is uploaded, it goes to this FlashTrack SendReports, where it goes, and you recognize the file by its name, and I've sent a couple tests up here in a couple past few days. This is the actual working file, the FTEX. That's the actual file that was created in FlashTrack. We're going to scroll down to the area where the file, here's your different files that were created. You got your PNG file, which is your one line. And there we go, there's that. At the top of the PNG file, it tells you how many labels and how many points that were created in that file. Now, what you'll find is that the electrician will get creative, I'll say. They will get creative because they're not really used to drawing one lines for the most part. They're not the best at it. And at the end of the day, you may look at it and say, no, it's actually drawn like this. Both are electrically correct, but one might have more points than the electrician didn't recognize it at the time. It happens. So this is a file that's created, a temporary file, and this is the information that shows up on that. As a one line, you take that one line, print that off, and Or what a lot of engineers will do is they have two screens going at once, the SKM or ETAP, whatever you're using, and then they have the other screen with their one lines for FlashTrack on. It also creates a zip file that you can download all the files at once, take them right off the website. This is your Excel spreadsheet. And the data that's represented there is simply broken down into tab form or tabular form also for each component. And this information I'm looking at right here, this is the data collector's information, as well as the site information. This is required when they start FlashTrack out on a new project. They got to start off by stating who they are and I'll give all their contact information, as well as the site and the site contacts information, so that you have that information handy in the report itself.
What we can go do is get rid of the empty ones.
It organizes by component type.
Yes, exactly. Like here you go. There's the Excel file itself. It'll let you know what type of, I apologize, the proportions are just way off. Looks like a little kid's tablet or something. Switch type, whether it be individual disconnect, fused, non-fused. If it's just a regular inline switch, it'll let you know all that information. It also tells you this information here, this INDF, that's an individual disconnect switch, fused -5 carat. That particular nomenclature is something that FlashTrack creates, so it does not duplicate the component. So it doesn't have this, so you don't have an absolute ID no matter what. If the site names something PT1 and the data collector forgets to put a serial number on it, we still have it individualized, okay? You won't have duplicate wires or anything like that. So that's created by FlashTrack. Everything after that is something that the site created. So sub 2-1 feeder B3 switch is what that was called. The data collector put 6019 on it as an alternate ID, and the location, wherever ER2-146 is where it is. The brand is Square E. The voltage rating on it is 15,000 volts, and the amperage is 600. Fuse type is SM5 100E. S&C is the manufacturer, and the rating on it is 100. Any notes that the data collector might have added into it would be right here. In this case, they noted that GE motor starter, fuse, whatever. And then it tells you if there's a label required for that item, and if it counts as a point or not. And why would things not count as a point? Because the way we designed it is that the label goes on the item that you're going to be working on. Okay, and each item might have a set of wires and a protective device in front of it, and that's all one. That whole circuit is a point. All right. We don't count wires and we don't count fuses as points. We don't get labels generally, unless they're an individually closed disconnect switch of some sort. And then it gives you reference to where the pictures are located. There was numerous pictures.
Coordinates are what?
Coordinates are for down the road. And I wish you wouldn't ask about that. Down the road, we would like to be able to import directly into SKM. In order to do that, the first step is to recognize the coordinates so we can establish a relationship. And so that's why
Like
that's
an address number.
Yeah. And so that's pretty much your file, your file for switches, and that's continued in panels, wires and cables, it's all there.
How much of that is library based, and how much do you have to type in?
It's 100% typed in field verified. All right. The only library that's created is when you create a favorite in FlashTrack. Once you create a favorite, then that information will be continued on from item to item.
What about a different project? Can you have like the whole template? Yeah, of all the wires, because the wire and ground is always the same basically. And
yeah, you can
Create your own seed file if you wanted to.
if you wanted to. Once you save it as a favorite, it's there for every project.
Can you show that?
Yeah, I'll get to that in a minute. One of the key things that's real nice about FlashTrack is that you can cut and paste. So let's say you have, we just got done doing this, I don't know, something like 500 drops off of the busway, and they're all the same. I mean, you basically had 30 amp, you had a 100 amp, you had a 200 amp drop, and those were the three differential ones. So once you created those circuits, you were done. So you just cut and paste, cut and paste, cut and paste, cut and paste, and move along like that, which is real nice and real fast for the data collector. And then you open up FlashTrack for you. That was beautiful. So this is the first window that pops open. It requires you to put in your data collector information as well as the site contact information. One of the things it also does is it starts recording how long the data collector is using the system. So this, if they're using it from start to finish on a project and not doing any desk time or anything like that, it gives a really good indicator of how many points per hour that they're actually collecting, and it gives you guys a better idea of what your cost should be involved in that. Okay? So that we're keeping track of that stuff. There's no toolbox on the side of my FlashTrack because I decided I wanted to get rid of it because that's an option in the back end here. Because I just right click and then there's my toolbox right there. Drag and drop the icon on the screen. Box pops open, has all these attributes that require you to fill out, and once you fill those out, the box will change from the icon will change from orange to black if it's all populated. There's no chance of them losing unless they drop the computer and break it completely, which is happening. Sorry. There's no chance in them losing more than 5 minutes of data. FlashTrack is designed to copy a version of itself every 5 minutes or sooner. You can actually tell I want to do it every 1 minute if you want. But you won't lose more than 5 minutes of data collection. If for some reason the computer dies, you still have that information. It's up to 5 minutes ago.
Or you want to go back.
Or if you want to go back, just to undo anything, you can undo. It works just like every other program you use as far as the tools it has.
If you're with a computer that has access to the web through Wi-Fi or something like that, and you have it upload to the cloud every 5 minutes?
No, it doesn't do that right now.
So if a truck ran over that, Hilo ran over the machine,
We actually dropped the
Get off.
computer from 12 feet in the air and broke it, couldn't recover the disk. That was what happened to us a bunch of years ago. But
it's a manual process to upload.
It's a manual process to upload, but it is not a manual process for it to save itself.
Okay.
It's automatically does that. You can actually increase it if you want to, and how many times it does save. There's always the backup files.
Is there a quantity of points or anything like that, a limit?
No, there's no bus limits.
So,
No bus limits
so the
at all.
licensing is unlimited, basically.
Exactly.
And so, since you're really not calculating, you're just storing data, it's probably a pretty fast operating.
Yeah, it does. It does. The video card you're using, depending on the computer you have, once you start loading up the icons on the screen like crazy, you've got 300 buses up there, and you're going crazy. You're building this huge system. If the video card is slow, it's gonna jump. You know, but if what we've seen typically, I think most things that we've been working on since the beginning of it, most things are around in around 200 points. Okay, most systems, and a lot of times it's broken down into phases, so you're only doing a portion of it at a time. So it works pretty good, and it's a pretty robust system.
So, since you're not really you're using laptops more so than tablets, how are you getting photos connected to the cell?
Your everyday webcam, your $20 webcam, they plug right in the side of it.
The one that's in the back.
What's that?
The one that's in the back of that.
Yeah, if it's got a built-in one, fine, but he's asking about a.
So you wouldn't want to be doing a camera where you gotta come back to the office and
No, you don't have to. You can do that.
But you'd rather do it on the fly.
But you'd rather do it on the fly. And when we train electricians how to do the data collection, a lot of times we're working with electricians that do maintenance, electrical preventive maintenance, and they've got some software where they take pictures of stuff. But they're taking pictures of stuff up close. They want to see the burnt back wires on it. They want to see the discolored copper and things of that nature, right? I don't care so much about that. for label installation purposes, we teach them to take 12 to 15 steps backwards from the components to get a nice geographical representation of where that item is located, so when we go back and put the label on it, it makes it a lot easier.
So is the photo linked to the component itself?
Yeah, to the tab.
That's correct.
Cell.
That'd be right here.
That's kind of,
We can go in our photo manager, and if I had taken a picture of that transformer, it would be right here. As many pictures I want to take, but only 4 print out on the report. This is also nice for you guys too, because you guys can go back and look at and assess the condition of the equipment and get an idea of how things were installed. You know, if they didn't properly name it or they couldn't figure out how to draw it, you can look and say, oh well, that's a PFD. Okay, I got it.
Do you mind going back into that snapshot manager for a
so
second?
let me ask you this, can you create, let's say that we're not doing an art flash, we're just gonna do a building condition analysis. So, do I have to create a one-line, or can I just kind of have, I'm gonna take a look at, take some photos of that MCC, there's a pad-mounted transformer that I care about, I don't really care how they're interconnected, I'm just looking at the condition of the equipment. Can I just have pieces of equipment?
Just randomly?
Randomly, yeah.
Oh yeah. The FlashTrack, it's not smart enough to know whether you correctly
So
created
really,
it.
it's at your own discretion of whether you actually create a one-line or just here's a transformer, here's the name, here's a photo of it, it was leaking oil, here's an MCC, yada, 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 it's in bad shape.
And you can put that all in the notes, and when you print out the label installation for it, even though you're not going to make labels, that information will be in that report.
Generally, you want to do that. Can you go up to the top? There are a couple options here. One of them is I think the one next to it. Yeah. So what you can do here is just import, allows you to browse and attach. So if you go and take it with one of these cameras, you can still import it.
Okay. Okay.
All right, let me just close this. Oh, no. The wrong one. We got a late comer.
Now, you guys.
So I'll start all over now. Okay, so I'm Brian.
Do you guys make this available ever, anything, for rather than PC full versions, like for tablets or phones or anything?
When the market goes that way, if it goes that way, because right now, if you look at field contractors, it's all PCs. Okay, you have a very small amount of them that like to use iPads. I know there's a contractor on the west side of the state that uses iPads for building purposes and things like that. It's just not. It's not there right now. So PC is where it's at. I'd love to have a really cool iPhone app for it, but we don't have that.
What we can do, once you do upload the data, you can view it online on anything. You design the web application to work on your phone.
Good point.
You're not going to want to be doing it on your phone, though.
Yeah.
You're not,
There's too much typing probably
Well,
for that.
for instance, you're not going to be browsing all day on your phone, right? On anything. But if you need it, it's there.
Here's a prior little test project that I created. Taking a picture of something as simple as this. Can't say cheap. That's right. Thanks. Appreciate it. All right. So now we just captured some photos on this utility that we have in there. Just so you know what the utility is. The utility icon is so that you guys know who to contact. We do work all over the country. We don't know what utility do and anything else. So as part of the startup meeting, when the electrician gets on the site, is they obtain the utility information, and a lot of times they'll take a picture of the bill, so we have the meter references and so forth like that. So it's good documentation tool on that. So we went and just took some pictures. We're going to go up to the Insert tab, and we're going to go to Snapshot Manager, and we're going to see that we just took 2 pictures, and we're going to say, yep, that was them.
I think you can also select multiple things as well. And so if it's associated to 2 different.
Oh, okay. And so, the rest of these guys don't have, should we delete this?
Send it through
Don't let
the
them
intranet.
Delete it, it's as simple as that.
Post it up.
Send it to the internet.
Send it up to the internet.
Yeah.
No.
Just don't give the wrong seat.
There's 2 options there, actually. One is to delete it, and one is to remove the link. Which I think the other one is probably what you want. So you remove it, but you don't delete the file. Sometimes you want to put it back.
Right.
So it'd be a picture not associated with any particular item.
Mhm.
Something you can do on that. And And where that's used, some of these contractors that do the art flash, they like to put a picture of the building that they did on the cover of the report, so they take that picture of it, file that aside. So that's pretty much how it works. This is the favorite menu. If we had created one, which we can do that real simple by doing this. That kind of thing. And now we got that favorite particular wire saved. We can use it again. It's also available down here. Just by right-clicking, it would start to build a whole library of favorites. Boom, there they are. So you can just, when the contractor gets really good with doing the data collection, they'll get rid of the toolbox on the side because they want more field space to draw in. And right-click, if you right-click, that's everything you need to do right there. There's no need. This tab up here with this ribbon up top here, that's technically not even needed either. So you have more field space to draw on, which is nice and handy. We can just drag and drop and highlight a whole group of items, like that. Move things around.
Can you select the whole group and copy over multiple too?
Yep.
Okay, can you show me a breaker? I want to see how you might populate triplet settings or relay information and that kind of stuff.
Right. Problem is the portions of the screens are all whacked out, so you can't see everything over there. You can start to see you got your voltage amperage, continuous, long-term, short-term, and continuous ground.
So
yeah,
is it really? So do you have a medium voltage breaker as well, or are you
have
really just low voltage breakers?
You can. Let's see if I can find a better example.
Looks like it's more instrumentation and CTs and NTs and stuff.
Yeah, it's geared towards the lower voltage, basically where there is medium voltage in there. Let me find a icon of the workforce that will fit on the screen. Okay, so we've got all this is transformer, and again it's cut off because of the projector. We got all the voltages here that you're familiar with, where the transformers come into the buildings primarily, but we all know that sometimes there's substations that are owned by the customer just before that. For that reason, we have this other. Okay, other, what it does, it opens up a separate box so that you can actually put in that other voltage, whatever it might be. And so now you can create a medium voltage icon group by using the other. And other is available in every single one. Okay.
The electrician go in the field, collect data that's consistent.
Yep.
And then you bring it back, plug it into the SKM.
Well, right now, it would be a manual re-entry, but at least the information would be organized digitally. Once you collect it, it's consistently organized, which is an issue that I think as we get more people working on the same large project, could be an issue.
And it also, the columns for each one of the items, breakers, wires, and whatever else, they flow with the SKM, because that's what we primarily use also, so they flow with them. So they're in the same order as you're going there on the spreadsheet, you're in the same tab, so that makes it nice.
Okay, and they talk about lengths of feeders and things of that sort, or do they do that in the field also? Or
Yeah, they're estimating the length, they're determining whether it's copper, insulation, type. We use drop-down menus wherever possible. Okay, so we populate a lot of stuff. Let me pull up this wire real quick. So for wire, we have our gauge, and it's pre-populated with a lot of stuff. And then there's other, because you come across some oddballs here and there. And then there's wire configuration. There's our configurations, and there's an other. Number of sets, different insulation types, common popular ones we know of. And then they put in whatever they feel the length of it was, and whether it's PVC, metal, or none. And so that's all the wire information that you need to have for. Now there's a notes area, and the notes area again are for the electrician, if he's observant enough to make an observation rather than just collect data. They'll put in there's a possible code violation, meaning that the wire doesn't match up with the fuse, or there's an insulation issue, or there's a conduit issue, whatever, there's too many wires in this conduit, or whatever the deal is. So they're going to point out this. Hopefully, you get a good electrician who's going to be conscious and looking at these things from a code point of view, making those notes for you, taking those pictures. If there was an issue with it, they could take a picture of it and you could reference that, giving you more information than just raw numbers and stuff in the field to insert into your SPM drawings so you can make better recommendations in your cover letters and consult with your end customers better.
And the way we manage work is typically we'll do as much of the non-invasive investigation that we can, and then we'll either utilize the facility electricians or sometimes we're working with outside contractors. So there's kind of really a two-stage data collection that we'll gather as much as we can, kind of figure out the general arrangement of the one-line diagram, and then where you got to open something up, now we need an electrician.
Yeah, that's what I was going to
Going in at the point where you're into live equipment or what have you, now we're having them confirm, hey, we took a wire size off the existing one line, can you confirm that it's really number 4, or whatever.
Exactly, yeah.
So in working with different contractors over the years, sometimes they're organized, sometimes you get 32 different emails with piecemeal information, and it's tough to make heads or tails.
All right. Better thing is that our process with doing our flash is that once we receive it back from the information up to FlashTrack, we take that, interpret it, and get it back down to the contractor that did the data collection for further review. There's always, I'd say almost 100% of the time, there's always a question on there. There's something that just isn't right. It's usually a code violation, and that code violation is usually a wire issue with the protective device. That's typically. And even though they put it into the system as it's this and that, we ask them one more time, can you confirm that this is because they didn't make a note and they're saying it is a code violation. And can you confirm that it was this wire and it was this fuse, or there were 3 different fuses in that particular code, or whatever the issue is. They confirm back on that, and the next step is to send that, correct that particular one line, and then send that off to the customer, to the site for nomenclature review, because at that point we want to make sure that we called it what they want to call it, because a lot of times it's not named, how that goes, right? And so they go ahead and sign off on the nomenclature review, make the changes they want to make, then we do the final report on that end of it. And then after we do the final report, we always go back at the end of that and say, okay, here are opportunities for mitigation or for improvements. Because you don't know what those are ahead of time. You don't know how many opportunities for mitigation you're going to have until you do the one-line study, but the AR flash study. So we go back afterwards and do it at that point.
So can you flag a problem so that you can go right to it? Like you're saying, you can put comments in, but is there a way to flag that there's actually code violations?
There is actually. Good question. If I wanted to flag something out to the engineer, I'm going to go over to make a note, and I can put a note in here of whatever I'm seeing or not liking or whatever I want to point out, and I can place that note wherever I want to place that.
Can you shrink the size of that?
You can shrink it, you can make it bigger,
Okay.
you can even delete it. A lot of times the contractors will use this as a note saying I need to go and do this, or I have to get this key, or they just put a note to themselves what it is, or a punch list to themselves what they still have yet to do.
So one thing that you had a series of asterisks related to required information. So what happens if I don't fill in all?
Then your icon will not
Just won't
change
change. Okay.
colors.
Okay.
And
So if we said we're going to gather what we can, but things that are invasive, we're not even going to guess it. We'll just let it stay orange, and then that'll flag the contractor.
That's good.
And pick it up from here and take it forward.
Yeah.
You also can't upload it if it's orange. So then you can go into
But that's okay, because if you're living on your, you'd be using different PCs too, like this.
Yeah,
Unless we handed it off to them.
same PC. What if there's a group of 2 people working on it, different parts?
So
It won't let you upload it.
but there's still a file there.
Well, you can
save it on our network.
No.
You don't want to do
You
that.
have to upload.
What you want this software is saving the drawings yourself, the data, as well as the photographs on one file. So you don't want to move that file. If you move that file, then you're going to break a link to something, which would typically be the picture, I think. You break a link to the picture you will not print up on your label installation report unless you move the entire file with pictures over from PC to PC. Now you can trick it, okay? If you wanted to turn everything black so you can upload it to the database, you can trick it and just put in a bunch of garbage. I mean, you can do that.
Well, you don't want to do that.
But you don't want to do that. Right. How are you going to reference what's garbage and what's not?
Yeah. When you have a pre-populated window there, and then you said other, is there a way you can actually input text in the window then?
Yeah, FlashTrack doesn't care what you put in here.
Okay, so
Any
then
character will work.
it doesn't transfer over to other. It's just an extra box next
An extra
to it.
box, yeah. In the wire size box, if you look on the spreadsheet, it'll say other, and then the next column over will actually have that information, whatever that information was.
Yeah.
So there's a way you could enter to be verified by contract.
Yeah, that's true.
Then you use yours, then you go back in and just fill in a bunch of crap.
No, you fill in everything except for the wire size.
Then you use the other.
And use other.
Well, could you put in, if you had it in there, like a number 4 wire you had, would it give you that window on the side?
No.
If you wanted one?
Only other.
Okay.
You could type in source and destination information for that wire without having to enter it on the one line. Is that true?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
Does that wire, does that have to be represented on the one line?
Does it have to? No.
We just float.
It can just float right.
Yeah.
What if I delete it off the one line? Will it delete it off the
Spreadsheet?
The spreadsheet.
Yeah.
Okay.
When you go to the next.
But they're not like if you drag wire 7 up, it's gonna it's not electrically connected.
No, but it's got a little magnet to it. It will pull itself. If you're close enough to it, it'll automatically lock
Like,
it.
you can drag it.
While we're talking about wires, a lot of times guys will paint themselves into a corner. They'll run out of white paper, keep drawing on, and nothing to go on. So for that reason, we created the resizing tool, and that allows you to resize wire and buses. So you can stretch a bus out to whatever length you need to have to add additional nodes, and you can stretch wire out, as well as you can rotate it. Get some real creative drawings going on, where they have wires going all kinds of directions. You can rotate it also to get yourself out of a pickle. Let me show you another.
I think the Visio analogy. It's quick. It's a quick, simple tool that you don't need any training to start creating stuff. Not like AutoCAD or even SKS.
So we can also rotate any item, wire being one of them, and rotate it. And once we connect a piece of wire to another wire, it grabs its attributes. So data collector does not have to repopulate that particular piece of wire. It's seen the tag on it itself is white. White, and then that indicates that it's associated or it's inherited all of its information from wire 11. So you can go out that way.
I think if you want to get rid of that, you can just delete the text in there and it'll go in.
Yeah, if you want to change it, like say, well, I'm going to go to a junction box and change the gauges of wire from one to the next.
So when you rotated, it went from wire 11 to wire 15. Is that what it did?
Oh no, I added this new one onto the screen.
Oh, and then you connected it, and then
Yeah.
inherited when you touched. Okay, I got you.
So then I took it and I rotated it.
And then when you connected it is when it inherited.
Yeah,
Gotta move it.
exactly.
Or you could copy paste.
Or you can copy paste. So that's the only icon that works that way. You can rotate everything, but you can't. The only thing that you can stretch are buses and wire, and only one component of inheriting anything is a wire from another wire. That's it.
Actually, I'm going to make a comment on that. You can rotate everything. That's actually a bug. It resulted from a
I thought
bug.
it was a feature.
Well, no, because originally we only wanted the bus and the wire, and at some point what happened is I think I unblocked it so it was able to do everything, and we left it that way, so due to compatibility. But what I'm getting at is, depending on how you place certain things, you're going to have different flow, right? So the contractor needs to be aware of that. The because we've had people say, hey, you know, it's not supposed to be going this way.
You completely 100% zoomed in to edit. Okay.
Once you go upload it and you're in your computer now, is it possible to continue editing at that point?
Once it's uploaded to the server, it's been converted over to files. Next time you upload it, it'll be a new file, a new date, name and date code. It'll still be the same location, ABC company, but it will have in parentheses. It'll have the time and date it was uploaded, so that it'll be a unique file to that. So anytime they make changes to it, you'll have a timestamp reference to what the changes were or when the changes were made.
So
That's not what I was asking. I was asking, I upload it, I'm into my computer at the desktop, and I see, oh, I made an error, and I want to change this. This should have been a number 10 wire. Can I make it onto my computer, or I have to go back to my...
No, you can, because when you upload the file to FlashTrack SR, what it does is it converts it over into a zip file of reports. Okay. It also has the original FlashTrack program, the FBPX file on there, and so that you take that file and you can download that file to your computer, make those changes, and then send it back up when you want to be converted.
Okay.
Okay. So that like you mentioned, everything is portable. It goes on any device you can view it on and save it to. You just can't run it on the FlashTrack. You can't run it on anything but a PC with FlashTrack installed on it. And it's also got to be associated. The file you create has got to be associated with the license number that you purchased. Okay.
So if I have a file created based on the license on that machine, if I'm going to continue to add information, it has to be the same license to access that file?
Same product key.
Product key.
Okay.
So you can have it at 5 keys, like let's say you buy Microsoft Office, you buy it for 5 or 10 licenses for different computers, and they're all sharing that same license,
Right.
like that.
So you'll buy a product key, and that product key will have so many activations. How many activations you want to buy, so then you can install on so many machines.
Right.
You can get the activation on this machine. I forget what contract you mentioned, but one of those weak contract or industrial triangle. If they're using FlashTrack, they've got their own version of it. You're going to want to make sure they have your product key so that they can upload it to your website on FlashTrack SR. They're going to just make sure it goes directly to there so you guys can get. Otherwise, it's going to go to someone else.
And then they will only be able to transmit the reports.
That's correct.
Okay. So I guess it depends on whether we're trying to use the same file to complete a single project, or whether we're hiring them to do all of it and just send us the final reports, and then we'll have the information. So I can see it both ways.
Okay. You understand that. So at the end of the day, when you guys decide to go with FlashTrack or not, or if you decide to go with it, then you make a determination of how many keys you'll need, how many product keys you'll need. You can change that at any point in time. All right. And you'll purchase those product keys, whether it be 1 or 5 or anything in between. And each year you'll renew your license with us, and you'll determine at that point if you want to still have 5 or you want to have 7 now. You don't know. So you make those decisions as you go, and each year you can alter that.
So if I upload, say I'm a contractor and I upload, well, I went to the wrong place, I still have the original on my laptop, so I can re-upload it to a new location.
If when you start a project, you're going to make sure that they're using your product key. Okay, that's just what's going to have to happen on that end of it. Because you'll go into the main database, and then the only thing that you'll be able to even open if we retrieve those would be the reports only. That's all you would get. You would not be able to take the FlashTrack file itself into your product key and open it up. It wouldn't work. Just all you get would be the static reports. We got to make sure that we're using the right product key every time we start a job.
So, okay. So the reports are in what format?
The reports are in Excel spreadsheet, a PNG file, which is your JPEG, basically your one line, your static one line, and then help me out. What was the
Well, there's the
HTML or
well, there's a PNG file, which is your one line, just an image. Once you extract everything, then there would be the spreadsheet, which is a XLSX, the Excel 2007 format. Whatever that is, just the spreadsheets, and each one of those tabs in FlashTrack, each of those workspaces is going to be a separate tab. Is it a tab or a file?
their files.
I think yeah. What happens is each one of those workspaces is going to be a separate Excel file, and then everything's going to be tabbed out in the Excel file by component type.
If you create more than one workspace on FlashTrack, you're going to get an Excel spreadsheet for each one of those, because we've already used all the tabs to define the attributes of each component on the spreadsheet itself. So we've created a brand new spreadsheet for that next workspace. But it's still going to be contained in the same place in your report management site on SR, FlashTrack SR.
So when you're on the web, you can view the data. If you click on that that CSV file or the XLSX, the Excel file, it'll open up so you can view it on your phone or your tablet or whatever. You can view all that data. If you don't have Office installed on your whatever device, or you can just download it or click the download button and it'll open up. Can you click the download button on that XLSX?
So those are all non-proprietary
On the one
files.
up, the one up.
that
Yeah.
can be viewed
Can you click on that?
with normal
Open
MS
that.
Office type stuff. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. There's your Excel spreadsheet right there.
So there's tabs for each type, and that's how they're grouped. Yeah, I don't know how much data is in that.
No, it's just a little small little test file that I was playing with.
Well, you could open up.
So that's pretty much how it works. You got your label installation port, which is a XML file, and that's just a browser file, and then you would save that as a PDF to print it off. That's how that works.
So what if you had a job and it's put on hold for 2 years? You don't have the software for 2 years, and then it starts back up for some reason. Can we get back to the web and get that information, or do we have somehow a way of saving that data?
Yes.
On,
Once,
how do you
yeah.
plan to do
At any point in time that you load it up to the web, see if I can get the right spot here. Anytime you load it up, it's going to save the file as the actual working file. This is the FlashTrack software file, and then it also saves it as a zip file, which is a collection. Here it is, time-stamped here. It saves it as a zip file. All these files down here, PNGs, XLs, and all that good stuff, are all saved as a zip file, and then you can actually download that zip file as well as that FlashTrack file and save those on your own servers if that's what you choose to do. Okay?
So you're not totally reliant on the storage of the cloud.
Yeah, once you lease FlashTrack from us, create a product or your own, or a file of your own, you own that file. We're not going to hold you hostage from that. You have every right to have that file. So take it. There you go.
So it's on the cloud, it's under our account number. Is there a time period where eventually that's taken off your cloud?
Once you don't renew, if you don't renew with us, at what point in time do we clear your stuff out? Is that what you're asking?
Yes.
At this point, it's 5 years. And that's the reason why it's 5 years is because the ARC Flash programs are supposed to renew every 5 years. So we're trying to fit to that standard.
Is there a pricing benefit on one versus buying 5 at a time?
Yeah, they're paid annual basis, right?
So it can start slow and get bigger.
Yeah, and then the next year you say, you know what, we only need about 2 this time. And so you can scale back. Yeah. And again, all the stuff is still saved in the web storage regardless of how many licenses you have.
Is there information in here about, but it's not a network software, or can I have it loaded on all the PCs and have only so many network keys? I mean, I'm trying to
There's no, see, that's one of the things we tried to not do is, you don't need a database of any sort, so you're standalone, everything's on there, and that's it. So if you want to install it on another PC, you would go and put the, use another license key on that. But the web account, you just have you can view that on anywhere.
What we're saying is that the software itself, you can install the software on as many PCs as you want and not have it active. So it's installed and it's waiting for a key. And you can remove a key from one active computer and then reinstall it within a minute if it has a Wi-Fi connection. Within a minute, you can reinstall it.
So the network, the key is a web or an internet key that you hold and it has the licensing, or is it on our network?
No, it goes through an activation server cloud.
Which is your, okay.
And then what
Which
it
is not ours,
Because
actually.
we have some of those that our IT group manages the keys on our network server.
Okay.
So yeah, the software can be loaded on 50 machines, and it looks for the key on our network. Here, it's looking for the key out on the internet. Okay.
Also worth to mention, it's activated every 30 days. So if you have it for annual, let's say, you have 30 days to reactivate it. So you probably want to know before you go out, and it will tell you. Can you click File on there, and then
can't see it.
you can't see, but it says 19 days. So it's 19 days on the
Down
right
here.
corner. It says it tell you the version number, how many days you have left out of the 30, and then it just says, can you move the mouse? It says 5 activation attempts. So if you're out in the field and you can't find an internet connection, it'll crap out and say, you can't activate, and then you have 0 days.
Right.
I can't activate. It'll give you 5 chances.
Before you start a job, either that morning you're going to go to McDonald's or wherever and get a Wi-Fi connection to make sure that they're up to date.
So the key, once it's activated, could be standalone without internet access for 30 days.
Right.
For 30 days, but once something trips it up, something could trip it up. Let's say if you move the files around or you try to tamper with it, then it's going to go.
There's certain functions that you'll need to
It'll
have
fail,
it.
but in this case, if you have 0 days left, it will say, hey, I'm going to give you 5 attempts to do it. You should know before going out that you.
It's just a quick handshake with the server and say everything's good.
Yeah.
It will also tell you within 7 days, 7 days or less, that you have, 7 days. Do you want to activate now, or do you want to go and be lazy and postpone that? Let's say you're not on the internet, or you just don't feel like doing it. You can postpone that, but eventually, within that timer goes to 0 days, you have to activate. It'll give you the 5 attempts.
Sure.
Because you're out in the field and you can't be hassled to go to the McDonald's next door or whatever.
Right.
There's built-in tutorials. Once in a while, as long as you're talking about Wi-Fi, as long as you have Wi-Fi, you can check out the built-in tutorials on how to use FlashTrack. But
We'll be redoing those this year.
Yeah.
And
there's 6 of them. They're real short. They're really easy to do. There's also built-in shortcuts. A lot of contractors out there that are doing the preventive maintenance thing, they've got dedicated software or proprietary software that uses doing the data collection for that purpose, and they have a lot of keyboard shortcuts. These are the same ones that we have built into ours, and they're all pretty much standard cut, paste, that kind of thing, copy paste. So they can work a little bit quicker if they're keyboard shortcut savvy, which for some reason I find a lot of electricians are that way. So.
Any other questions? Appreciate you being agile for our schedule.
No problem. Actually worked out good. I was supposed to be in